Greetings and welcome. I'm honored that you've taken the time to be here with me today. I want to thank you for your confidence in enrolling in this program as we begin our very first actual session of this preparation program. And we're going to talk about something that is exceedingly important. There are very few subjects that we're going to be discussing that are any more important than this, and that is the subject of memorization. Ladies and gentlemen, the bar exam is a memorization game. Let me say it again. The bar exam is a memorization game. Stated slightly differently, the bar exam is all about memorization. Memorization really is a form of legal cheating. Okay? If you could take a sheet of paper, if you could take a crib note into the bar exam that had all the rules of law and all the exceptions on it you needed to know, that'd be cheating, wouldn't it? And that obviously would be illegal, it'd be immoral, it'd be unethical. Obviously, you're not going to do that. But you know what's even better than that? It's taking that same information that you would have in a crib note and putting it in your brain, lacquering it on the inside of your brain because it's right there ready for you to spit out as soon as you've seen the issue. Why is memorization so important on the bar exam? Memorization will increase your speed. Memorization will build your confidence. Memorization will show you off as someone to the greater who knows of which he or she is writing. Memorization will do many things to enhance your preparation and the quality of your bar exam answer. If you can't memorize or won't memorize or don't want to memorize, am I saying to you that you can't pass the bar exam? No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that I don't know how you can. If there's a way to pass the bar exam without good memorization skills and a devotion to the process of memorization, then I really think you probably need to be talking to somebody else, because I don't know how you can pass the bar unless you're able or willing or going to be dedicated to the notion that you need to memorize a certain vast but finite body of law. The most important reason that you have to memorize is this. The bar exam is an IRAC game. We're going to be talking about IRAC. You all know IRAC. IRAC is your old friend. Issue, rule, application, conclusion. By the way, the A here stands for application of fact to law. It doesn't stand for analysis. Analysis suggests that the bar exam is a far more erudite process than it really is. The bar exam, ladies and gentlemen, is a pedestrian exercise. It is not an exercise in erudition. You do not have to be a genius to pass the bar. You do not have to be scholarly to pass the bar. You have to be thorough. You have to be complete. You have to be succinct, and you have to be compact. The way to do that is through memorization, and the bar exam is an IRAC game. Issue, rule, application, conclusion. Why is the bar exam an IRAC game? Because the most important letter in IRAC is what? Well, it's A. It's the A, application of fact to law. More people, more examinees in close cases, especially in the tougher jurisdictions, fail the bar exam based upon insufficient application of fact to law than any other part of IRAC. Okay? Issue, rule, application, conclusion. So if application is so important, application of fact to law is so important, why then do we have to worry about memorizing? Here's why. Because you cannot apply fact to law unless you have stated the law. You cannot state the law unless you know the law. You cannot know the law unless you have memorized the law. Folks, I'm going to be harping on this the rest of the presentation. Knowledge. Knowledge means memorized knowledge. Knowledge equals memorization. Memorization equals knowledge. Understanding of the law does not equal knowledge of the law. Ladies and gentlemen, many people across this wide and wonderful land of ours who think they're prepared for the bar because they understand the law are doomed to disappointment, because understanding is insufficient. Understanding is insufficient. You need to memorize the law. And without memorizing law, without learning law, without knowing law, you can't do IRAC the way it's supposed to be performed. As important as memorization is, And as important as a certain amount of memorization has been to you throughout school, throughout your life, throughout law school, it's interesting that I've never heard anybody really teach how to memorize. Memorizing is one of those things that we sort of have to learn how to do on our own. And I've learned to memorize a certain way, and the way I've learned to memorize is grind it out. I don't know any other way to memorize for me other than to keep going over something over and over and over again until I've just nailed it. Another thought, many of you might not consider yourself to be huge memorizers, and you might have done very well in law school. You read the case book, you went to class, you understood all the nuances of the instructor's presentation, the important aspects of the course that the instructor thought was important. You might have gotten A's. I never got an A in law school, okay? So I don't know how to write an A answer. The bar exam is different than law school. The bar exam is far more of an objective exam than people give it credit for. People think bar exam essays are highly subjective. They're really not, especially in a large jurisdiction like California, where you might have several hundred people actually grading the exam. You score on bar exams by ringing the bell, and the way the bell is rung is what the graders are looking for. They're all taught to look for the same things. And so a memorized rule of law is far more important to the grader in the bar exam than a memorized rule of law or an exception of law might be to a law school professor. The time is now. Now is always the time to begin memorization. Now is the time. We're going to talk about not counting hours, counting minutes. You should always be trying to memorize something when you're not doing something else. We're going to be talking about flashcards. Now is the time to memorize. The power of memorization, as in the power of preparation generally for your bar exam, is on the front end. Don't wait. Don't say, well, it's only the first week. I don't want to start memorizing until the fourth or fifth week. That's too late. You need to begin to memorize now. Make it a very high priority in your study protocol. There's a technique that I learned years ago that might be helpful to you in terms of memorizing, and that is to memorize or work on memorization the last thing at night and the first thing in the morning. Now, over the next number of weeks as you prepare for this bar exam, your brain is likely to be shot late in the day. That's the time I want you to start grinding away, especially in that day in memorization. Work when your brain is mush. Work when you're about to go to bed. Work the last hour or two at trying to grind this stuff in your brain if indeed that's the kind of memorizer you are. Make the last thing you think about when you're awake, before you enter dreamland, some 3, 4, 5-part test, some definition that you know is going to be important on your bar exam. Make that the last thing you think about. When you wake up in the morning, as you're lying there, when you're halfway awake, try to remember the last thing that you tried to memorize last night, and it'll be so much clearer in your mind. That's a wonderful memorization technique if you don't have your own strategy for memorizing, and I know that many of you do. Let's talk about what memorization really means to me and what I believe the memorization standard should be to you. When do you have something really memorized? You have something really memorized when you can be writing that rule out on a piece of paper during your bar exam or during a practice essay question and thinking about something else that is entirely different. When you're able to articulate a rule of law or an exception, when the words are issuing from your lips and you're thinking about something completely different, that's when you have something truly memorized. Are you going to memorize all of the material that we're going to ask you to memorize in that fashion? Probably not. But that's the standard, and that's the goal. And if you're able to do that, the bar exam, come exam day, after lots of hard work, will likely be a piece of cake for you.